I guess we're live.
Hey.
Hope everyone's doing well.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Thought it might be fun. I've shared a link there in the chat for very fine Australian cider.
Oh, really?
This cider is legit, although it does have a funny name.
It's all right. So I'm trying to find it in the chat, and I don't see
in the private chat.
Oh, in the private. See, all right. And I don't see it there either.
Okay.
Rage. Hey, what's up, Rage?
Hey, what's up, yo?
Not much, man. Just hanging out. We're talking about beer, I guess. Or I had it. Oh, there it is. So let me hit the magic button here and see what that is. Dickens.
Hi guys, it's Gerald Porchman here.
So, is this appropriate to show on the show?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'll share this.
It's a genuine ad.
Oh, it's a genuine ad. All right. He looks very very excited. That's what he looks like. All right. Let's start and get this from the beginning.
Hi guys, it's Gerald Porchman here. In 1861, the Dickens Beverage Company has been producing some of the best wines we have grown to love, including Chardonnays and sparkling wines. Hey, Frederick von Dickens has now introduced a brand new cider that's been around for years, but is gradually making an impact on the global market. And it started right here on the Gold Coast. Dickens is slowly winning the taste buds of millions of cider drinkers from right around the world. And after sampling just one glass, I was hooked. I knew the ciders had been around for a while, but I just couldn't wait for my girlfriend to try a Dickens cider. When she arrived home from work, I told her to close her eyes, and before she knew it, I surprised her with a Dickens cider. I'm sure that there are many men out there who know of a woman that may be suffering from a debilitating migraine that could really benefit from a Dickens cider. So I'm urging all men to turn to their womenfolk and ask, when was the last time they had a Dickens cider?
I can't begin my day until I've had a Dickens cider.
There's nothing better than waking up to a good old Dickens cider.
My girlfriend loves Dickens ciders. My sister came to stay with us for a month, and my husband couldn't go a day without the Dickens cider.
My girlfriend loves a Dickens cider.
My mom loves the Dickens cider.
My sister loves to wake up in the morning with a Dickens cider.
I'm a bit young, but I would love to try a Dickens cider.
So there you have it. For over 150 years, Frederick von Dickens has developed a beverage that literally brings women to their knees. So fellas, for the sake of the economy, get a Dickens cider.
Brilliant. That's brilliant, Dave. Usually those one joke, that like one line jokes, they get pretty like played out quickly, but they just own that for the entire minute and a half.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Like the Asian tourist. Dickens cider. Had no idea what the poor things were getting sucked into.
No. At first I just thought it was just some kind of weird community access ad, but no, it wasn't. So it's a real product, Sammy.
All
right.
Legit, yeah, absolutely.
All right, very good. How you doing, Tilden?
Absolutely.
Hello, everybody.
You look very clean. You look very clean cut today, sir.
Yeah, I got chopped up. I was like, I'm getting way too scraggly over here.
Yeah.
The winter time is gone. I don't need that extra layer.
Sure.
You don't want people to mistake you for being a member of the 12 Tribes cult. So.
And and that was coming across my mind, Rage. It really was.
I'm actually covering them today at some point. It's fun. It's good times.
So what group? What's that group like, Rage? I don't want you to give us your whole video here about the 12 tribes. What are they all about?
It's an extreme sect of Christianity. They they have communes all over the country, all over the world, and they run something called the Yellow Deli, there's a lot of issues there, mainly with child abuse and mainly with their recruitment techniques. A lot of whispers that they go to, music festivals, and they drug fluids to really get people sucked in and then love bomb them into their cult. So yeah, I'm gonna actually be looking at how it started, the man that started it, and it's very fascinating. It's taken me a long time researching this. I've been researching this for about a year and a half now. So I'm finally gonna do it. Yeah.
So where do I sign up for these free drugs, Rage?
Go to a yellow deli and just start talking hippie with them, and they might invite you to the compound and give you the tea, and the tea is supposed to be quite effective.
So there's a yellow deli in Rutland, Vermont. I think that's the closest one to me. I'm not sure. I'm just Googling it now. So it's a deli. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that it's like a regular everyday deli with hippies?
Yeah, well, and they usually center their delis around college, universities, and campuses. The leader, there's a whole lot there when it comes to the guy that formed this group and their recruitment techniques, using psychology, using things he learned in the army. It seems very predatory once you really start looking into it. And then it's kind of scary once you realize that these guys this group is all over the world.
That is scary.
And the Yellow Deli itself, they don't pay their employees. Their employees work for free.
They pay their employees with Jesus. That's what they pay.
It's pretty much, it funds their movement. And then if you join the movement, you are required to give the movement all of your money and possessions. Wow. In order to join, you have to turn it all over to the community.
I reckon they're paying their workers in that funny juice.
Yeah, it's some extreme shit, man. So I'm looking at them once again. I was actually I was scheduled to go and meet with them because we have a group in the next county over in Marshall, I had met with the guy. He was going to take me to the compound and introduce me to the elders. But then it just disappeared. Like the guy wasn't interested in doing that anymore. And now that I've been looking into it, it seems it's right around the time that the FBI and federal government really started coming down on a lot of these compounds. So they pretty much closed house.
Are you going to do like a hidden camera type thing? No? Cool.
Well, I planned on doing that initially. I was going to just like infiltrate their compound because I know where it's at. I've got aerial photos. I know exactly where it's at. But then I learned that can be dangerous. That people have been hurt doing so. So I decided not to go that route. I met some of them in town, and then I befriended one of them who said that he would introduce me to the elders. I figured that they saw my videos and decided not to do it, but now I think it's more to do with the what was going on with the federal government at the time.
Interesting. So I'm wondering if they pay their employees with Dick and cider.
Yeah, with Dick and cider.
Sorry.
So yeah. Heavy shit, man. Heavy shit. But they could. I mean, they might use Dick and cider in their magical tea.
Right.
I just love hearing you all say it in your different accents.
It's great, to tell you the truth. When's the video coming on, Rage?
I've been back and forth. I was going to do it at 1, but I think it might be a long one. So, I have to go get my daughter from school. So I'm thinking I'm going to do it it's going to be a live stream, and I'm probably going to do it around 5 or 6, probably 5 before dinner, so it's not a late dinner.
I wanted to point out that I believe it's CFI on Facebook. They're doing a show. They're running a video, a one person. I forget the name of it or who's doing it, but it is how to talk to someone who is in a cult. I'm going to see if I can find it so I can because I'm just spewing out nonsense words right now. But there is an event tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, I believe, and it's hosted by CFI, Skeptical Inquirer. I'm sorry, it's Mick West, Escaping the Rabbit Hole: How to Help Your Conspiracist Theorist Friend. So it's a Skeptical Inquirer. That's at 7 p.m. tonight Eastern. And the name of it is Escaping the Rabbit Hole: How to Help Your Conspiracy Theorist Friend. I'm going to be watching. It's 1 hour. It's from 7 to 8. So I thought I meant to mention that earlier in the show, in the early show, but I did not.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems more and more people are getting sucked into these conspiracies, like the whole QAnon thing. It's become almost a certain political necessity, honestly, to believe a lot of these conspiracy theories now for a certain political party.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's much more prevalent with Republicans, of course, but there's definitely an element on the left,
Oh, sure, yeah.
that does this whole weird. I mean, I remember I went on 3 dates with a woman who, and this is part of my personal shame, to tell you the truth, who didn't believe in vaccination, and she's a college professor. And she sounded like she had legitimate medical reasons, but once again, I think she might have gotten those medical reasons from YouTube and not her medical doctor. Yeah.
People will believe stupid shit.
Yeah.
They'll fly in the face of science and just believe what they feel in their gut sometimes.
Yeah. Your gut is maybe not the most trustworthy source of information.
Yeah, and you're from the same era as me, Andy. So you'll probably relate to. I was literally raised with trust your gut. Your first instinct is always the right instinct, and that's just not necessarily true.
That's not a quick sample of data points will show that trusting your gut is really not the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something to be said that if you are an expert in certain situations, like if you have to trust your gut when you're hitting a baseball, for example, right? There's no way you can think through hitting a baseball, but that, so you need that kind of rapid cognition to do that. And in fact, they've shown in brain scans that you thinking about hitting the baseball as you're trying to hit the baseball doesn't help. It actually impedes what you're doing. But in normal circumstances, when you're making a complex decision, perhaps trusting your gut is not the way to go.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I never had the hand-eye coordination to really be good at hitting a damn baseball.
I had the eye-hand coordination get a baseball smashed into my face when I was like 9.
I was the big brute that had to play football. I was basically good at just crushing smaller people. When it came to that finesse, nah.
I was exceptionally good at falling down, to tell you the truth. Like super good. And if we ever hang out together in person, I will show you my right foot, and you'll be like, "Yeah, I can see that, Andy. Good job in standing vertical."
Yeah, well, yeah, I am definitely a clumsy person myself, especially now with all my leg issues. I can't walk straight to save my life.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
That is interesting, what you were talking about with the like if you think about hitting the baseball, you will most likely not. You overthink it, or maybe it's that you're taking your attention away from calculating that, like your inner workings. You may not be hearing it. I don't know, but I find that interesting because I do that to myself too. Whenever I'm playing guitar and singing, I will start thinking, and I'm not thinking about the song or anything, but yet the words are coming out of my mouth. My fingers are still moving, and then I start thinking about that, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not thinking about the song. And then that's whenever I mess up, and I'm like, whoa, hang on.
Yeah. The only time
my brain around that one is something else.
it's the only time that it's beneficial to think about doing those things, those kind of activities, is when you're learning them. But if you have already learned the activity, then actively thinking, using your frontal lobes here about what's going on, will mess you up.
And I'm going to spew a bunch of nonsense words because I don't know what I'm talking about, but I know that there's they've basically discovered that by the time we make a decision, the decision actually already occurred deeper within our brain. And I wonder how much having sort of an ability to tap into that and like react before the thought. Well, especially when you think about the speeds that a baseball is pitched at.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time there can be for thought. It's got to be just you've got to have that muscle memory and
the best hitters describe it that like it slows down. It becomes so instinctual for them that if they guess the pitch right, that it literally just slows down and happens in slow motion, and they can see it perfectly, and it's all instinct. Barry Bonds has talked about this. Mark McGuire's talked about this. Could have been the steroids too, but they all kind of describe the same thing, and I think it just comes from repetition and muscle memory that it becomes instinct.
Hey, Tobin?
There's a Mythbusters out there. Where a dude with the samurai sword can cut a bullet in half. Somebody can shoot it. I forget how far it was. It was like there was quite a big distance, and this dude would allow the guy with the handgun shoot the bullet, and the dude with the samurai sword could cut it in half.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's out there. It's out on the Mythbusters channel. That channel.
Interesting.
Yeah, I used to like that show, but I never caught all of them. Yeah, I must have missed that one.
I saw a professional shooter, older guy who just, was an expert at shooting with a 6-shooter. And he was able to shoot. He was able to throw aspirins up in the air, like 2 aspirins up and like just nail them just like that. It was very impressive. The interesting thing about a baseball, and just like the same thing with a bullet, is that your eye can't move fast enough to track it, right? So it's all about intuition. It's about guessing where the thing is in space.
Mm-hmm. So
what's really interesting, and if Daniel Dennett was here, because he writes about consciousness all the time, is the brain, so the brain's just doing this basically on muscle memory, right? But does the person imagine that they're able to see it, or they're trying to figure out a theory about how they can do it, but that theory may have nothing to do with reality whatsoever, and that's I find that fascinating.
Yeah, it's all about really the study of the pitcher, and you're right, the guess, like guessing the pitch, and if they can see the pitch coming, then they can see it, and I think it is more just a combination of that muscle memory and seeing the tape and the film and seeing the little gestures that's going to indicate this is a fastball as opposed to a changeup or a curveball. So it's really a study in the physical aspects to that pitcher's psychology. How does he physically react to what he's thinking?
And back to what Sammy was saying is that decisions are made. You have made the decision, and then I feel like I'm Morpheus in the Matrix. Oh no, who is it? The Oracle in the Matrix. You've already made the decision. You just have to figure out how or why you made the decision, right? I think so that you can train your brain into making, your inner reaches possibly of making better decisions. Like if you're doing like stoic disciplines, there's a variety of disciplines that you can
to get a little controversial.
Please do.
That is where hypnotism can come in, because that's the part of the brain that hypnotism is involved with. And having been hypnotized myself a couple of times now, I can see how you, with enough time and practice in that state, you could definitely train your brain to act on your behalf, sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I've actually read on self-hypnosis, and I draw a link between meditation and self-hypnosis. I think they're very similar. And it is, if you spend time and you just sit there and you practice, I practiced breathing a lot with meditation. It was more of an exercise to me. And now, like, whenever I go to bed, I have a partner that I am with. She will take 2 breaths to my 1 breath. Like, I breathe. I've done it so much now. I don't even have to think about it. I just breathe at a very slow rate. But it's a practice. I think, yeah, you can change those, or maybe not change, but program it. You can set those parameters in which you want yourself to function. And you just have to practice it. At that point, it's just going, oh, I'm not doing what I wanted it to be. And then correcting yourself and getting yourself back onto that. And you just do it over and over. We're habitual creatures. The more, if you can do something out of habit and keep it going, you can do some amazing stuff.
Yeah. Sam Harris talks about that kind of stuff all the time on his podcast, when he's not wrong about other stuff. But yeah, he talks about the uses of meditation.
You want to talk controversial, right? So you brought up The Matrix. Politics has ruined that series of movies, and it's for this reason. Like, it was on HBO Max and recently, and they took it off, I believe. But I was considering showing it to my daughter, and I didn't, and this is the reason why, because of the whole fucking red pill thing.
Yeah.
I don't want her seeing this movie and then get quote unquote red pilled as she's coming into her teenage years, and that's a shame because it's a great series of movies.
The first two.
For us old farts, which one's the red one again? The wake up one.
Is the one it's the one he takes to wake up.
To wake up, yeah.
It's one thing entering that or seeing that movie for the first time when you have a toolbox, right? When you have the skeptic's toolbox, when you think about how do I know what I know, and ways of discerning what's real in the world, right? And then if you're right, Rage, if that, something like that can prime you into believing conspiracy theories. That's troubling.
It's how I first met Candace Owens, but way back before anybody knew who Candace Owens was. She was calling herself Red Pill Black on YouTube. And this was right after the whole doxing scandal when she was a supposed leftist trying to dox right-wingers. It appears like she was approached by donors on the far right, and she's been shilling for them ever since as Candace Owens. And she started as Red Pill Black, and she was part of that whole Red Pill alt-right movement that, they suck you in by quote-unquote waking you up. They always talk shit about the woke scold on the left, but they see themselves as the same. Like, they literally do the same thing with this whole red pill thing, and it was freaky. I remember it happening at the time, and it still like comes up all the time now. You've been red pilled, and incels have their whole black pill thing, which is insanity.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know about the black pill.
The black pill is just cray. That's a whole stream in itself.
Somehow it strikes me as dudes who can't get laid getting angry.
Yeah, pretty much.
Isn't that the little
pretty much
blue
I have
pill?
the right to rape women because I'm a dude. That's pretty much being black pilled.
The little blue pills for the ones that can't get it up. That's right.
A lot of black pillars need the little blue pill. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
it's like, have you tried to read a book?
They've read the fan letters from Penthouse.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
It is unfortunate when politics ruins things. Like, I never allowed, J.K. Rowling's personal politics to like really influence my my judgment of her books. But slowly over time, it's like now it's like, damn, woman, shut up because I'm trying here, and you just keep making it worse.
It is difficult, and time does help that. I was watching this. It's called The Power of Art. It's a small documentary show, maybe 6 or 7 episodes, and it's by Simon Schama, professor over in New York City, and he was talking about Caravaggio, who was a Renaissance painter. It turns out Caravaggio was a bastard. He was just not a good person, like a bad person. And it's like, well, it doesn't mean I'm not going to appreciate his art, his paintings, his oil paintings in the Museum of Fine Arts down the street or in Boston. I'm still going to enjoy it. I've had a couple of centuries separated from him in his assholery, so I can enjoy his art. But when it's so close, when the person's still alive and the art is new, it's difficult to separate. I find it difficult to separate it.
Yeah, it is like, Orson Scott Card is a perfect example for me. Like, he's an awful human being, a racist scumbag, but he doesn't really go around promoting it, and you hardly ever see him do interviews or talk to people. You know these things about him, but he just doesn't. He's not out there spreading it, and he writes really great books that I've really enjoyed. Ender's Game is still one of my favorite series of all time. So I was able to separate it but like, yeah, I think she's just so vocal, and she just keeps doubling down, and it's like, God damn it, stop it. And then Stephen King on the other end of that spectrum has like great politics, and he's like, man, I'm so glad he was my childhood hero. So there's like opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Would you buy a still life by Hitler, Andy?
Would I? Well, I've seen some of his watercolors, and I don't think they're horrible. I don't know why I do know why the Viennese School of Art didn't take him in. Is because he was doing unpopular type of art. He was working in watercolor, and no one likes watercolor because it's actually a very difficult medium to work in. It's unforgivable because if you make a mistake, from what I understand, a friend of mine is a watercolor painter. And a lot of people don't like working in the medium. So would I buy? Probably not, because I don't find it beautiful. If there was, I don't know, let's say Adolf Hitler did, I don't know. I don't think I could do Hitler. It's too raw. It's still raw. Yeah. Oh, Bush's oil paintings. See, the girlfriend knows how to trigger me. Bush, the fucking guy. I fucking hate that guy.
Those damn paintings drive me crazy.
It's like, fuck you. Fuck you, George Bush the Younger. Fuck
let's
you.
Let's just normalize a war criminal by making him some old man that paints pictures,
Waterboarding. You remember Christopher Hitchens getting waterboarded just to see if it was torture? And he's like, dang, that's torture. Yeah, that's torture.
No, I didn't see that, no.
Oh, yeah. Look it up on YouTube. It's like Christopher Hitchens getting waterboarded, and he's like, I just want to see if this is really torture, because people are talking that this is torture, during the Iraq War and everything. It's like, yeah, it's torture. George,
I hate that.
Yeah, I can't stand that.
I hate the friendship between the Obamas and George W. Bush Jr. I can't. I mean, like, what? Why?
I mean, you can make an argument that you wouldn't have the Obamas if it wasn't for Bush's complete fuck up.
Yeah, I mean,
complete cratering of the economy.
He was able to play us in 2008 without a doubt. Yeah.
Man, and like I said, up until the time that COVID happened, I was willing to die on the hill saying that Bush was a worse president than Trump. And then COVID came, and Trump blew that out of the water.
No, yeah, I honestly think it's because I was the same, and now it's like, well, Bush never waged war on his own people.
Yeah.
Trump's doing rallies. He's starting his rallies next month for the candidates he's endorsing for the midterms. So we're just never going to get rid of this guy.
I think McDonald's and cholesterol might take him before anything. Before he's out of the public sphere completely. Andy,
go ahead. I'm just gonna go refill my coffee. I'll be right back.
Okay, dude, go ahead. Yeah. Andy rants about George W. Bush for 5 minutes. I'm sorry about that. Maybe I'm not sorry. Maybe I have to get this out of my girlfriend sent me this article, this opinion piece from the Globe. I think it was the Globe, about why we shouldn't be sucking George W. Bush's dick. That he's not a great guy. That we shouldn't be just because Trump was a dumpster fire doesn't mean Bush the younger was a great guy. And I've been ruminating about that for the last couple of days.
Well, it's interesting you say Bush the younger. I think that's still too dignified. I think we need to call him Little Bushy.
Little Bushy, right. Little Bushy. That's a good point. That is a good point. There has to be a better term for the complete fuck up that guy was.
The biggest disappointment of the Trump presidency is we never got those cartoons we got with the Bush presidency. You remember those Cartoon Network Bush cartoons, like the little baby Bush? That shit was hilarious on the Cartoon Network. We never got that with Trump, and I just thought that was a wasted opportunity at great comedy.
I'm going to shield my eyes. I'm going to warn everybody.
Shield your eyes.
Shield your eyes. You've been warned. Here it comes.
Is far too underrated.
I think that'll get me banned right there, Sammy. That was.
Does everyone know the backstory of that?
The mushroom penis was there too.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize it was all there because when I look at that, I don't know if that's going to be considered. Yeah.
No,
my favorite one is his face
art,
super.
Andy. It's
art.
My favorite one. My favorite one is the one that they superimpose his face onto Rocky. That's my favorite one.
Oh yeah.
There's an art competition here in Australia. The Archibald, and basically, I think the parameters are it has to be
Holy
a
shit.
portrait.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. And this one was entered, but it got judged to win, but disqualified for reasons. So they didn't get to win. But it almost.
Yeah. All right. Breaking news on the Associated Press: 2 deputies killed, suspect and 2 others dead in North Carolina, Boone, North Carolina. I used to go there to buy acid. Wow. Insanity is ensuing in North Carolina as we speak.
So what's the you said there was cops got shot. Is there a?
Yeah, it says 2 deputies were killed and 3 other people, including a suspected gunman, were found dead after a lengthy standoff in North Carolina. A sheriff's office said Thursday. The Watauga County Sheriff's Office said Sergeant Chris Ward and K-9 Deputy Logan Fox were dispatched to a home in Boone at 9:44 a.m. Wednesday after the homeowner and his family didn't report to work or answer telephone calls. Both were hit by gunfire. Other officers were able to pull out Ward, who later died at a hospital. Fox died at the scene. Holy shit, man.
That's crazy.
The world is going insane.
What happened to his family?
Yeah, it appears like he... let me get down into the article, see what happened.
It says that they didn't turn up to work, but did he just have them hostage or?
Probably hostage, probably murder suicide. If I'm going to make a guess,
that's what I'm guessing.
It's probably murdering his family and then suicide cop, or he's gonna kill himself. It's almost as if guns are a problem here in the States. That maybe everyone shouldn't have a gun, and if you do have a gun, maybe you should just be talked to or talked with by your licensed professional every once in a while, just to see everything.
Yeah, I don't see where they're reporting what happened to the family yet. So this is all breaking now, it appears. So,
what were you saying, Tobin?
Oh yeah, I was just agreeing, like a monthly checkup. Just see how you're doing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it. I'm a gun owner. If somebody was like, "Hey, we would like to check in on you," I would.
Let's do the basic neurological test. Follow my finger. Sammy knows what I'm talking about. You've seen enough neurological tests, right?
Yeah.
How many?
I mean, two
BLM
others dead. It doesn't appear. I'm guessing from that the two other people that are dead outside of the officers that were killed and the gunman were probably his family.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I usually start Andy with what's your name?
What's your name?
Do you know what your name is? Do you know where you are?
Day of the week. Can you tell me a day of the week?
Who's your president?
Who's the president?
Who's the president?
Yeah. I had a call. I was deep in fever one time. This is years ago when I had the flu, and I had to call the, because we have crappy healthcare system here in the States, of course. I had to call the nurse on the phone from my healthcare, insurance company, just to see how I'm doing, to ask her for advice. So she went down the basic questions like, what's your name? Who's the president? What day is this? It's like, I have 103 fever. I just want to know what to do. That's all I need.
Wow.
Yeah, those aren't fun. Oh my goodness.
Well, the thing is, my dear friend, anecdotal evidence is not real evidence. It isn't real evidence. You can say that you're, when you look at the large numbers, people, guns, they don't mix on the large scale. Not without, Tobin, obviously, gun owner, responsible guy, but in general, just having a gun in the house increases your chances of shooting yourself in the fucking head, to tell you the truth, or committing suicide.
One of my younger stories, whenever I was younger, I had friends. They were going out to go shoot bullfrogs. They came home, and one of the friends tossed the gun onto the bed. It went off. Other friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the numbers show that you're more likely, your child is more likely to be shot with your gun than an intruder in your home. I mean, and far more likely. It's a sad fact, and it's numbers that we've been screaming for decades with this argument. Yeah, I don't think anybody on our side of it is really arguing, for the utopia that there'll just be no guns here in America. But I think at this point, it's just common sense to ask, hey, let's make it a little harder and let's understand who has them and where they are. And if people are acting erratically, let's have some legislation in place so we can take them away temporarily until they can prove that they can have them.
Yeah.
And with it's the people, not the gun argument. I do agree, but because the argument still pisses me off so much.
I'm just saying that
invent a gun
that makes
with
love
AI that can shoot people itself, so that can no longer be an argument. So I can say yes, guns do shoot people as well.
As a person who doesn't believe in free will, and I think, if you think that your free will is unconnected to causes and effects, that's a whole nother problem, right? But when you consider that people don't have free will and are affected by their environment, yes, alcohol will turn many people into assholes. It is that issue. Guns will turn people into killing machines, under certain circumstances. It really is a problem with those things in and of themselves.
And accidents do happen.
Yeah. And then you ask, and what's the payoff? What's the payoff for having guns in the society? Well, it's worth having a few mass shootings every year to keep the gun laws the way that they are. And that is criminal negligence, absurdity on a mass scale.
And humans did just fine killing and even, wiping out whole species of animals without guns.
Yeah.
Just saying,
Yeah.
There's something to be said for the old bow and arrow.
Humans are prone to violence, and we're going to use whatever tools are at our disposal. I mean, the question is, if we are prone to violence, should we be making tools easily accessible at the highest limits of that violence? I think that's the legitimate question to be asking. I'm with you. Like, if we're backed into a corner, we're all going to react. And if you have a gun on your side, well, that's a different reaction than if you don't. That's really where the conversation should be centered around.
You know, and if you go even bigger on the scale, I was just learning about this bit of history. It was somewhere in the UK, Britain, or something like that. There is a nuclear place. Britain was wanting to make nuclear bombs to keep up with the US.
Sure.
And they ended up getting their reactor too hot, and they've it did some damage, all in the name of, oh, we need to keep up with armory. We need to be able to have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
And I mean, in the end, now it's the numbers were staggering. Like, they're keeping a hold of all this waste in cement blocks.
Yeah.
They cement it into big, huge fucking blocks and just stack it. And it'll be here until 2144 or something.
It takes an exceptionally long period of time for nuclear waste to become non-nuclear. I guess that's the best way of putting it, right? Of not being dangerous. I think the timeline is crazy. And when you look at Chernobyl, I was just, and not every nuclear disaster is going to end up. I'm sorry, it's so crazy the words coming out of my mouth. So I'm gonna put a pin on that for a second and say that, well, guns aren't people and they aren't conscious, but guns are. So you can say that guns are an accelerant, just like religion is. Guns are an accelerant, right? So they bring out the worst aspects of our species. That's what guns do. They make it.
And I love oxen, and but I really don't like that terminology. Or not the gun, it's the person, and I agree with the mentality behind that. But it literally is the gun. The person wouldn't be dead if the gun didn't go off.
Yeah.
So
yes.
The gun culture in America. Let me rephrase this: the gun culture in America brings out the worst aspects of our species. That's
and I totally agree with that. There's underlying factors, but you can't ignore the major factor in the room, which is that big shiny piece of metal that can go off, go boom, and kill you. That's one of the major factors, and it can't be ignored.
Yeah.
And it always equals. Sorry. But no matter what time in history you look at it, it always, the person with the gun always has the unequal ground.
Well, what do you mean by that, Sammy?
Like, when all the times that different places have invaded indigenous cultures and had guns.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If it had been, just hand-to-hand combat, well, this world would be a very different place.
That's one of the reasons why the Viking attempted colonization here of the hemisphere when didn't go anywhere. It partially because of is that there wasn't any firearms, right? It was just basically Vikings using medieval weapons against natives who were already here that had, at least comparable type of weaponry. It wasn't until, the guns, germs, and steel argument that there were germs and there were guns and steel all together, which helped, Spain and the other colonial powers decimate this hemisphere.
Yeah, I mean, a gun is ultimately a tool of life and death. It gives you a power of life and death over other things. I've never understood why religious people who claim that they don't want to worship false gods tend to latch onto the gun lobby and their right to own a gun when it literally gives you the power of life and death. It gives you the power of a god over other human beings. That's what they're designed to do, and it makes it really easy. It's pretty hard to kill a human being if you're not trained to do it.
You're right. It is. Even if
a gun makes it easier.
If you're using a knife in combat, you're more than likely going to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Than the other
one of
person.
The disturbing things that murderers have often confessed is how difficult it truly is to strangle out a human being, because they may pass out, but they'll regain consciousness.
Yeah, unless you're a trained jiu-jitsu practitioner,
Or just extraordinarily strong, and you can crush their throat. You know, which it takes a lot of strength to actually do that.
I was really upset at this one person, and I took a knife and I went to go slash their tires, and I went and I stabbed it real hard, and my fucking hand slid up. I didn't even pop the tire. I didn't even pop the tire. I walked away, had to go home, clean myself up. Yeah.
You're lucky you still have fingers, brother. You're lucky you still have fingers.
Yes.
Oh my God. So there was a place right down. I grew up in a hard city. You know, maybe not as crazy as where Rachel grew up, but there's a place where you could buy butterfly knives, right? A butterfly knife, you could just do the.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I was like 16 years old, hanging out, 17, 18 years old, going down there to downtown Brockton. It's like, I am never buying a butterfly knife because that's exactly what would happen to me. I would feel like I would do something stupid playing around with it, and then I'd lose a finger or two. And I need all my fingers, for Christ's sakes.
I just want to add this too, real quick. I was a teenager. I was much younger and not. Yeah, I would not go to that length.
Well, you learned an important. You learned an important rule about physics right there. It might have been Newton's second law. Every force, when you force something, it gives you an equal force in return. So yeah.
Especially a fully pressurized tire.
Yeah. Jesse says friends worked at a civilian gun range for a while. The majority of people have no clue about gun safety, and that makes them stupid to hold one. The power of the weapon is not respected. Yeah.
And a big misconception is this is a left issue. Like leftists are against gun ownership, and actually, no, I argue with more leftists about this than I do with righties. Righties are, you know where they stand. I get surprised by leftists all the fucking time, man. It's really sad.
I think that's because mainly for America, and I say that as a non-American, it's become a freedom thing, not a gun thing.
Yep.
Yes. And that's due to the NRA being taken over by radicals. I think it was back in 1973. The NRA wasn't doing too well in the early 70s, and they were on the path to extinction, or at least being irrelevant. And then it was taken over by radicals.
Yeah, I mean, we literally tried this experiment in the Wild West, and it didn't work out so well for us the first go around. Like, and now like we're here in the modern age, and it's like free carry. People have you can literally you cough at somebody and they can take it as a threat and shoot you in some states, Florida.
Let me just talk a little bit about debunking this Wild West concept about people with guns. Now, if we all remember, I took a class as an undergraduate, U.S. history, and it turns out guns in towns were not as prevalent. If we remember if you've ever seen the movie The Unforgiven, right? Yep. Clint Eastwood, people were supposed to give their guns over to the sheriff when they entered town. Now, this was normal. This was a normal event in many, many towns and cities out west, is that when you went into the municipality, you had to give your guns up. So our this conception of the Wild West as being like full of guns, open carry in these cities and towns, that just isn't true.
No, but there were rogue towns that it was prevalent, and there would be a lot high opium use, high drinking, and it would lead to gunfights out in the streets. But yeah, no, I agree. Like most of the Wild West wasn't some like uncivilized territory. It was mainly civilizing the territory and killing off all the natives. That's pretty much what the Wild West was.
That's a great point. I have not heard that one yet. I had not made that connection myself.
Oh yeah, I mean that was the natives. That's where we had pushed them to, and then now we need that land. So, but yeah, most of the Wild West wasn't like what you see on like Tombstone.
Yeah.
You have states in America that have open carry, right? People walk around like the
Michigan
old
is
West.
one of them. You can go to a Walmart, motherfucker got a gun on him.
Yeah, Texas, it's like that too. Yeah.
I was in North Carolina Rage over the last week.
Need the camera. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I was in North Carolina for maybe 12 hours, and I guess it was hunting season down there. I don't know what they're hunting. I saw 2 long rifles, just like, one guy was in the parking lot just showing his buddy, yep, my rifle right here. And I'm like, you don't see that up north. Hunting season, you don't see that. At least not in the areas that I live in.
Dude, we got recruited as teenagers by a Mexican cartel. They had this pool hall out in the middle of nowhere in North Carolina, in the area that I lived. Some people in the community are actually from the area that I lived in North Carolina, and they know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like middle of nowhere. And we were recruited by the Mexican cartels to steal guns because everybody in North Carolina has shotguns. Everybody. So you just kick in a door, and man, you got like 30 fucking guns. And we were getting weed and all these different drugs. I mean, they were making a killing off us because we were ignorant, didn't know what the fuck we were doing. They were getting all these expensive guns, giving us a quarter pound of weed. Like, that was nothing to them.
Wow, dude, you got fooled.
Oh yeah, I mean, and they did it. They had a whole racket of white rich teenagers doing it for them. It's getting them hooked on pills, getting them hooked on crack, and yeah, I mean, it just it ran rampant in the 90s in the rural area that I lived in, North Carolina. That these people were doing that, and I was one of them. And everybody had guns. Every home in North Carolina, you're gonna have 20, 30 rifles. They're gonna have rifle cases in every room. I mean, it's insane. It's insane.
You learned something very early on about capitalism and the drug war at the same time, Rage.
Just in my defense, that was in response to the girlfriend's comment.
Okay, don't blame the guns. Right. I see what you're doing. Yeah. That's a great
everybody down in North Carolina has guns, man. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Especially hunting season, you'll see them, racks in their trucks and shit, and they'll have 6-7 guns just in the truck.
I was interested in the conversations about trucks. A lot of people like talking about their trucks too.
What I don't understand is, I'm not sure if this is a Michigan problem or a problem everywhere. If you own a truck, does that automatically mean you drive 5 miles slower than the speed limit?
Oh, really? I didn't realize there's that relationship there.
It seems people like every truck driver is slower than everywhere. Shit, man.
People drive 90, yeah.
Yeah, no, it is the exact opposite.
Really? Oh, man. Up here, it's like you get behind a truck and you're like, all right, you know what's happening. You're slowing down 15 miles an hour because normal people go 10 miles over the speed limit. I mean, that's just normal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Once again, my trip down to North Carolina and back, I was just, once again, gobsmacked at how bad we are as a species at driving. We're just bad at it.
I'm such a rage driver. I don't like my daughter driving with me anywhere.
It's good to know your limitations.
See, I'm not so surprised by how horrid we are as a species at driving. I'm daily shocked that we are allowed to get behind the wheel of these machines of death and hurl them at each other at ridiculous speeds.
That's a true thought, man, if you think about it.
With a painted line. That painted line.
Never when I was the driver, but I have been in a couple accidents, and they are freaky, man. You're lucky if you walk out of one.
It's terrifying. That's what it is. It's absolutely terrifying. I was driving with my kids. This is years ago, right? I like to prepare my kids through maybe unorthodox means. So we're driving, and I knowing that my older son was going to be driving at some point, I point over to the white line and go, you know what that is? What? That's the line of death. That is the line of death. You got to be aware of the line of death, because if you start swerving past the line of death, you're going to know why it's called the line of death. That, and I would say telling my kids about kid jail from an early age, that helped. That was you can see it all in my special, everyone, whenever that comes out.
Yeah, that might work. I never tried that.
Children's autobiographies.
Yeah, my dad and my mom met in kid jail. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, based on what Sammy said, I totally understand why we don't have the flying cars yet, because they could do it, but like that, you talk about just pure suicide with human beings. Give us all the ability to fly around everywhere. Oh, I mean, no, that's not going to be good for humanity.
It's not. I might be in the minority, but I'm looking forward to AI just controlling cars.
Oh, me
just,
too.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Me too.
Yeah.
We just, it's got to be perfected. We're in the early stages. They have their issues. A couple crashes that have been made really, really public. But it's still early stages AI. And the AI, I mean, I'm all for it. It's going to be taken over. I mean, it's just the future. It's going to be taken over. Our children might not have jobs like we have jobs because AI is going to do everything.
Well, the thing is, and you're right about Rage, and this is why universal basic income is so important, is that there's a lot of white-collar jobs that are going to be taken over by AI too. It's only a matter of time. People think about blue-collar jobs being taken over, but oh no, my friend, basic accounting work, basic legal work, all that stuff can be done by AI very soon.
We're pre-AI at the moment, and already the restaurant business is being computerized, and jobs are being taken away from the restaurant business. Truck drivers are going to be the first industry to become absolutely obsolete, and that's a huge industry. That's our infrastructure here in this country. You're exactly right. UBI is going to become a necessity in the future, and that's Yang kind of gave it away when he ran on the fake ass platform he was running on.
What were you gonna say, Tobin?
I had read something, but I read it very quickly. Something about how we're going to see a spike in gas prices or whatnot. Oh, it was from CNN. That's where I was seeing it. It was they were talking about how there's not enough truck drivers and have y'all heard anything about that?
I know that gas prices are probably going. Well, they are in the process of going up. And I also know that in Australia that they have automated trucks drive. This is what I've heard. This is what I've read. Is that on those long distance journeys, they're already automated trucks, at least in Australia.
See, I disagree with Ox in the side chat. I think AI is going to open humanity up to be themselves truly and explore their explore sides of themselves that they work away in an existence that just makes other people rich.
This isn't in response to Ox, because I was literally waiting to get in and say it. But let's be honest, the main argument here is no one wants to be that grumpy old man who fights the onset or the oncoming technology. Like, just go with it, Ox. It's all right.
As long as we don't start making the machines that can kill us, like the Terminators and shit, I'm cool with it.
Exactly. Or guns that kill people.
Well, and that is the scary thing about it, is because we are so computerized, and we have ran AI simulations that have come to the conclusion that humanity needs to die. That's real shit that happened, and it is scary. So these dudes need to be on it and perfect it and make sure that it's safe. It's not a pleasant thing to look at if you look at humanity.
I was talking to Dr. Nathan Lentz a while back about evolution. He's written a couple of books, and one of the things, and he's constantly doing research, genetic research, and one of the things that he dropped in our conversation is that there are computers who come up with solutions that don't know how they came up with the solution. I want to say that again. There are computers who come up with solutions to problems, but they don't know. The computer cannot tell you how it came up to the solution.
I don't think that we can really start harvesting the resources of our solar system without AI. It's like the next really leap of human technology that's going to propel us into the next phases of what we consider civilization to be. So, like, without it, I just don't see it ever happening. We won't have that technology.
So the last question before we start closing up: will AI provide us with the most important thing in all the world, Dickens cider?
It would probably produce the best Dickens cider.
It's what it all comes down to.
That's what it boils down. So, Rage, I'll keep an eye out for your video tonight, brother. And see
it should be a live stream. I'm thinking of settling around 5 o'clock. I'll probably go ahead and set it up after I get out of here. And yeah, around 5 o'clock, it should be a good, nice little long live stream where we're going to look at an extreme cult and how it formed and the man that formed it. So it's
Yeah,
going to
it's
be
always
fun.
a dude trying to get laid. That's what
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times it's a dude just trying to get laid. Whether you're learning music or going to school or doing comedy, it basically boils down to a guy trying to get laid most of the time.
Interesting story with this guy. A lot of psychology. He studied psychology and practiced psychology for a very long time. So very interesting story behind this guy.
Nice. And so I'm going to be checking out the on Facebook the Skeptical Inquirer event from 7 to 8 about how to help your conspiracy theorist friend. So I'm going to be checking that out too. So it'll be a busy night of me watching stuff. I'm sure my girlfriend will be really excited. You got anything going on, Tobin?
I'm gonna go hang out with B tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll be around. I'll try to make some appearances here and there.
Awesome, dude.
And me and Tobin will have something coming up in the future, but it's a bit.
Awesome.
It's on hold at the second, so watch this space. And I don't think you'll mind me saying this, Tobin, but I recommend people wait till the end and go back and then watch us in double speed because we both talk pretty slowly.
I talk really fast. I've always been told that.
Yeah, I put yours on like 0.75.
Yeah, you have to slow me down. Yeah.
Well, yes, that's one of the things you learn being in this space is trying to figure out your cadence of how you're speaking, when to speed up and how to slow down, and making sure that people can actually understand what you're saying. But you got it down, Rage. You do a good job.
I had a lot of training with voice inflection and shit back when I was a slam poet, so I can use my voice, but I do talk fast. It's a mix of the Yankee and the Southern.
Slam poet, eh?
Yeah, back in the day.
Sounds flush.
Grant Farmer, you missed a lot, Grant Farmer. You missed a lot. We covered many topics here in this hour. Not to say the least, Dick Insider. All right, on that note, everyone, tomorrow we're doing the full crazy thing all over again. Take care, everyone.
Peace.
And now I'm hitting the end broadcast button.